Okay, let's get started because I need to get some kind of coverage on this redness. I don't know why. I am so red today. I've already done my corrector because I don't have a new corrector and I feel like it's kind of redundant. I use my Chantecaille Listilo pen. I will have that listed down below per usual. For foundation, the two products that I'm going to use are not new. However, when I talked about this actual concealer in a recent video, I thought to myself, you know what? I haven't tried this as foundation yet, and I think it would be really pretty mixed in with another product that I have. So that's what I'm going to do. So while it's not a new product, it is a new combination for me. I have not tried this yet, and I just feel like it's going to be really pretty. So the concealer I am speaking of is my Lawless Conceal the Deal concealer, and I picked out two of the colors that I have. My original color that I had purchased in Ballet, and then one that they sent me in Cashew. Now, I've been using Cashew as my concealer lately, and I don't know if you're going to be able to tell the difference, but this on top is Ballet. It definitely has a much peachier, pinkier undertone, which is probably why I chose it when I purchased it, because I do like that undertone a lot for under the eyes. It helps correct darkness. And then the Cashew is more of a neutral to maybe slightly warm. It looks warm next to the Ballet because that one is so peachy pink, but I really think it's more neutral. I think for the face, that Cashew is going to work better. And I'm mixing it in with my Chantecaille Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint. So the Lawless is very high coverage. You don't need a lot. And I just feel like it's going to look really pretty on the skin. So we shall see. Mixing it in with a little bit of this rose face tint, which has a tad bit of a rosy tint to it, which you would expect with the name. But it really goes on more of a sheer, like there is no color when you put it on your face. So I'm mixing those two together and hopefully this will work out. I am going to use a brush. I'm going to stipple that in. Now the rose tint definitely has some glow to it, whereas the Lawless is more, while it's still hydrating, it has more of a matte finish to me. But as I'm still getting the majority of the glow. Now I'm also not getting as much coverage as I thought I was going to get. So what I'm going to do after this initial application is go back in just with that concealer and tap a couple of dots where I need the most amount of coverage and press that in. So I'm not using that high coverage all over the face, just on my redness and my cheeks where I need it the most. This obviously can be done with any concealer. Any concealer you like the finish of under your eyes is definitely worth trying all over the face, as long as you feel like the color is correct. Now, for an actual concealer under the eye, I do have a new one that I haven't talked about, and this is the new Osmosis concealer. It is called the Flawless Concealer Zero Default. I got the shade Buff. It was hard to kind of tell online the colors. This works out. It's not worth me not using it. But it is a little lighter than I typically go under the eyes. I like to stay more skin tone or foundation tone under the eyes because I personally don't like really bright under eyes. But again, this will work. So it's got a pretty large doe foot. They used to have a concealer where it had like a moisturizing stick on one end and a concealer on the other end. That one was okay to me. It wasn't the end all be all, and it wasn't one that I really reached for a lot. I have only tried this once, so I'm gonna have to put down in the notes, like in the description box, how I felt like it wore, because it's been a while since I got it and tried it that one time for me to remember. So I'm just gonna have to kind of update y'all. This is a very yellow color, and I have not seen any of the other colors like in person, so I can't speak to how they all run. I just know that this one is pretty yellow. I actually don't know how I feel like that did at covering up my darkness. In fact, I don't know that it did much on this side at all. I mean, to be fair, we went out with some friends for Mexican last night, so my darkness and puffiness is always worse after I don't eat the best the night before, but I did expect a little bit better coverage. But this looks like it's what you get. So we'll see what it looks like once it's set and the whole face is done. Yeah, I just feel like, and I don't know how it's going to come across, but I just feel like the darkness is pretty prevalent. But again, I will put notes down below. Now, let's set the face. I have 2 new powders that were sent over to me from Jones Road Beauty, and it is their tinted face powder. Now, I remember Bobbi Brown having tinted face powders. Maybe they still do, in both loose and pressed. But these come in 8 different shades. 8 different shades. And they are shades like pink and yellow and light, medium, dark, deep. So it's not only for setting, but it's also for like color correcting. I got the shade yellow and they sent over untinted, so the translucent version of it as well. I think I'm actually going to use, even though I feel like my redness is pretty much covered up by that concealer, I think I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow on my cheeks because I want something to kind of brighten it up and help with that redness. They also sent over the powder brush. I really like this brush. I haven't tried any of their other brushes, but this one's nice. So I'm going to take just a little bit of that yellow and kind of just tap it onto the cheek area. It's also supposed to control some excess shine. I have used this once and I feel like I used too much of it. I do feel like there's a little bit of a learning curve with the amount of product used, but I do think I used too much. So it's kind of user error. So just the yellow on the cheeks. And then I'm going to take this untinted, kind of use that everywhere else. So just a little bit on the forehead. And when I say a little bit, I'm using a very, very, very small amount. And that you can still see the sheen, but when looking up close, I can tell that I have set it also. So just a little bit down the T-zone. And I'm using both colors because I have both colors. I don't necessarily think you need multiple colors, but they do have the options for the color correcting and regular face setting. So if that's something that you do want, the options are there. I do think that after using this now twice, the trick is to not use a lot. For bronzer, I am not using a new bronzer, but it's one that I don't think that I have shown and talked about on camera, and it is the new Jane Iredale matte bronzers. So I have the shade medium and light. Pretty big difference in shade. So the light is definitely a more neutral, cool tone bronzer. That's right there. And then the medium is darker, as you would expect from a shade up, but also much warmer in undertone. I'm going to start out using light. If I feel like I need a little more color, I might touch up with a little bit of medium on top. So these come in pans, just like most of their other powder products. And then you buy the compact to put it in, unless you have like an existing palette that you want to, press it into. So that's the light. Even though when I swatched it, it has a much cooler undertone, especially in comparison to the medium, I don't feel like it comes off necessarily muddy on the skin, but it's very pigmented. I'm going to need to buff this out, and I will, no worries. But that, I think you can kind of see how it doesn't come off as cool toned on the skin as it does in the swatch. These are great bronzers. Jane really doesn't put out products that aren't good. Do I love my So Bronze 1 more? Yes, I do. But they're discontinuing it, so I don't know what to tell you. These are good, though. They are not bad. It's just So Bronze 1 has been a favorite bronzer of mine for years and years and years, and it really takes something special to top it. And for me, I still prefer that one. It's got a little bit more of a sheen to it. It's not flat matte, but it's also not sparkly. And I feel like the shade is just better for me overall. But again, those are still good. I don't have a new highlight, so I'm just going to use actually my Jane bronzer. They call these bronzers, but this is one that I use as a highlight. It's called Moon Glow. So I'm just going to use these lighter 2 shades over here. They did kind of re-release these as well, and they brought out a new shade. I have it. I can't remember what it's called. It's too dark for me to use as a bronzer, but it's really, really, really pretty for eyeshadow. Let's talk about blush. I really like this blush. I wore it yesterday for the first time. This is from Lawless, and it is their Make Me Blush Talc-Free Velvet Blush in the shade Watermelon. So they brought out a whole new kind of line of watermelon products There's the Forget the Filler Lip Plumping Mask in Watermelon, the Tinted Balm Stick. Let me just go ahead and show y'all. In Watermelon, and the Forget the Filler Gloss in Juicy Watermelon. And they really, I mean, they just nailed it with the timing of this because they are perfect shades for summer. This lip gloss is like perfect for summer. I'll go ahead and swatch the blush too. Okay, so this is the lip balm, the lip gloss, and the blush. So while they look like really bright in the pan, you can see they don't swatch that way. But man, they're pretty. Like really, really fun colors for summer. So I am gonna take this blush and use it. Again, I used it yesterday. And at first I was like a little scared because again, it does look so bright, but it just gives the perfect amount of pink flush to the cheeks. And I feel like I need that right now. I need some pink. See how pretty that is? Love it. Highly recommend. So far, that's my favorite thing that I have used on my face. All right, let's do some buffing. Y'all, I think it's about time I just retire her, don't you? She's on her last leg, but I really want to get as much use out of this as possible. I do have a backup. This is my Hourglass Radiant Light Ambient Powder. And then to finalize the face, I do feel like I need a little bit of hydration. So I'm going to use this limited edition Rosewater Chantecaille Scent Over the 25 Years Wild About Nature Pure Rosewater Spray. Look, it matches the blush. We're just on a pink theme today. I love it so much. So beautiful. The sprayer is a little bit different than the original. So nice. So I'm gonna use that just to give a little bit of a pick me up to the skin because for some reason I feel like it needs it. So let's go on to eyes. And the brand Alter Ego sent me over their newest palette and it's called Midsummer. Now Alter Ego is a brand that brings out palettes and they also have, I think, like lipsticks but a lot of the palettes that they bring out are alter egos of other palettes that are popular. And this one is, and while I don't even know if I haven't even looked at the marketing. I don't know if they claim this or not, but when I first opened this, it automatically looked to me like the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. So this is the Anastasia and this is the Alter Ego. Obviously, the Alter Ego is at a much more affordable price point. There's some subtle differences. The first thing I'm going to do is take this color called Tucson right here, this lighter brown shade, which actually I really like is not in the original Nouveau palette. So I like this option for a crease. I didn't want to do anything too warm because, you know, I have this pink going on. Hopefully this will be a little bit more neutral, but we're going to do a little something to tie it all together when I'm done. So I'm just going to put this in the crease. I have used a lot of Alter Ego palettes in the past and I have had no issues with the formula. I like that color. It comes off a little darker on the eye than it does in the pan, which is not a bad thing because it's pretty light in the pan. And now I'm going to take this shade right here called Dew, which is that really pretty like green sparkly shade. And I'm just going to put that on the lid. I didn't put any kind of base, you know, cream, shadow, or anything down. It's got a good payoff. If I wanted even brighter, I could definitely go in with my finger and kind of touch it on, but I don't want it to be too bright, but that was good. That gave just a little bit of an extra something. Then I'm going to take my Rephr 29 into Twilight, which is this color right here. Very similar to the same formula as in the Nouveau. It's kind of that putty type powder, which is one of my favorites to use as eyeliner because it just glides on the eye beautifully, and that is no different, or this is no different. And to give it a little pop of color, I'm going to go into this lavender shade right here, that purple, and use a Rephr 14 under the eye. I always tell people, if you're afraid to use color on the eye for fear of, you know, just looking like you've done too much, using it under the eye like this is a great way to incorporate it without it overtaking the look. And I really like that purple under there. It's bright enough. It's not a dark purple to where I feel like it's going to make my under eyes look more dark and bruised. It definitely has that bright pop of color that I need for that purpose. And it's really pretty. Now to finalize the look, I'm going to take it one step further for the pop and take this blush on a Refer 27. Now I'm choosing this one. I washed all my brushes last night, if you can't tell. I'm choosing this one because it is fluffier than the 15. Not as dense, so it's not going to lay down as much color. And I'm going to go into this beautiful blush, pick up just a little bit, and just lightly on the edge of my crease, just dust a little bit of that color. What that does is it will pull the eye, not only to the eye looking at you, is what I'm saying, not only to the eyes, but it's going to incorporate the cheeks with it as well. And it's going to pull the entire look together without being too much. I'm telling you, that tiny little step, in my opinion, makes a huge difference. So for eyelashes, I ran out of my L'Oreal Voluminous Primer and I thought I had a backup. I still think I have a backup, and I'm like just looking straight at it and for some reason don't see it, but I do not see it. So I pulled out this little Urban Decay Subversion Thicker, Longer, Bolder Volumizing Lash Primer that I had as a little sample. I don't even know if they still sell this, but I had a sample of it. So that's what I'm going to use as primer. And I don't know if I've had it for too long as a sample or what, but not a lot is coming off of the spoolie. I'm really having to work it in. So that might be kind of pointless, but some is on there. And then for mascara, I don't know if this is new or not, but it's new to me. It's the Lawless, the One and Done mascara. It's got a very different brush. So it's got like the plastic bristles, but it almost looks like there's like a section missing. Can you see that? I don't know if there's reasoning for that. I have used this, I think once, when they first sent it over, and I don't remember what I thought of it. So I thought I would use it today. You don't really have to work to get a lot of product onto the lashes. It is definitely not a dry formula. While it's definitely not my favorite type of brush, I prefer a more natural bristle brush. It did do a good job of keeping the lashes separated. I did not feel like I had to go in separately and separate them, which I do often with other mascaras. And this is 2 coats. So it's pretty impressive on the lashes. I don't remember too much about it the first time, but I do know for a fact that it did not smudge or flake. I would have remembered that. It is a pretty mascara. Now let's go on to lips. BK Beauty sent over all of their new additions to their lipsticks, as well as their existing shades. So I'm going to put in a picture of all of them swatched, and they're labeled so you can pause it if you want to be able to see what they all look like. But my favorite out of the new ones is Grace, and it is just a beautiful nude shade. Go figure. It's not as pinky as some of the other shades. It has a little bit more of a neutral / brown undertone to it, but it's very pretty. And again, one of my favorites from the new line. Now I do like a gloss, so I'm going to put a gloss on top. Charlotte Tilbury sent over this, what's this called? Collagen Lip Bath, Collagen Enhanced Lip Plumping Effect Gloss. And this is in the shade Refresh Rosé, or just Refresh Rose. So it does have a little bit of a rosy tint to it. However, when it is applied, it is pretty clear. And it really serves just to give a little bit of a glossy finish to the lips. Now, a lot of lipstick will get onto this doe foot if I'm using it to add shine to an existing color. So I do like to take a tissue and kind of take that off before I put the doe foot back in, or else this will start turning all sorts of colors, whatever lipstick I'm wearing it with, and it's going to affect how the gloss looks by itself. And then I'm going to finish off with my scent of the day, which I have chosen as Hermetica's Peony Pop. This is such a good spring, summer, fruity floral perfume. I'm going to be talking more about this in my upcoming live with Abby because it is perfect for a fruity scent. It has raspberry. Put Put a little bit back there. It's got grapefruit, black currant. It does also have some florals added into it, and it's just so refreshing and fruity and summer-like and beautiful. It is one that you absolutely do not need a lot, like 3 sprays, 1 on each arm and 1 on the back of the neck, and I'm good to go for the entire day. So that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of look playing with new makeup. I actually really like how the overall look turned out. My favorite products, here we go. He's the best. Have to be the lipstick, the mascara, the blush for sure, and the eyeshadow palette. I really like how the eye look turned out. Good formula, ease of use, pretty finish. So hopefully you enjoyed this. As always, everything will be listed and linked down below for easy access. Let me know if you have any questions. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.